All right, so welcome to another Marketing Monday. Got Her Modern Life, got Sydney coming on. Get her added. Let people get in. All right, looks like we got her on. Just waiting for her to join. Slim. Okay, let's get her in. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, good, good. Let me get this. We'll get started in a sec.
hmm
Okay. Why? All right. So we got Sydney on today. Sydney, thanks for joining us. As Let me turn on the music. But Marketing Monday, as you know, is a platform where we bring on entrepreneurs, where they can talk about their entrepreneurship journey, talk about talk about their business, giving them a platform to just express how their journey is going and how they can help other entrepreneurs, how what's going on with them in the future. So thank you again for having, taking the time out to kind of, having this conversation. I'm very excited about it. Make sure that we're able to give them some good advice and just kind of discuss some of the things that you have going on. So
Awesome.
Sydney, can you introduce yourself, introduce Her Modern Life?
Of course, I'm Sydney. I am the founder and owner of Her Modern Life, which is a digital content creation platform. We produce and execute content as well as marketing stuff on the back end.
Okay, okay. And so how did you get started with Her Modern Life? What was the vision behind it?
That's a good question because Her Modern Life actually started as a fashion blog back
Okay,
in like 2016, 2017.
okay.
Um, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was
Mm-hmm.
bored at the job I had at the time. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? I dress cute. Let me start uploading like pictures to the internet or
Right.
whatever. And from there, I actually got a contact from Essence, the
Mm-hmm.
magazine, and they invited
Okay.
me down to Essence Fest to cover it as a journalist. And that was
Okay.
the first time I was like, oh, blogging can actually be like a lucrative business. Like I can
Right.
actually make money. And then I got down there and I realized that there was so much more of a need in our community for
Mm-hmm.
education versus like just like more fashion content because we get that everywhere. We get
Right.
that all day, every day. But there isn't anybody necessarily telling us what we need to know in a way that we can digest it. So I was
Right.
like, I'll be that person. Like I'll
Right.
take on that role. I'll do that. And it's just kind of grown from there. Like when I first started Her Modern Life, I would have never imagined like all the amazing interviews I've been able to do, all the connections I've been able to make, it's been a blessing. It's been good.
Okay. That's cool. So I know you talked about some of the people that you've been able to meet, the interviews you were able to do. What's some of your favorites so the listeners can, know about it.
Um, my favorite, I'm gonna say like my very first one at Essence Fest with Congresswoman Maxine Waters,
Hmm.
and then my most recent one was with the cast of Lovecraft Country,
Okay,
and
that's cool.
they're just my favorite because it's like crazy to see how far Her Modern Life, like as a brand, has gone.
Hmm.
You know,
Right,
Lovecraft was one of the biggest shows of last year,
right.
and I was able to interview pretty much the entire leading cast as well as the director. So it was amazing.
Cool. So did you have, I know you said you kind of just you started blogging, but did you
Mhm.
have a background in like writing or anything of that nature?
No, I graduated from Tuskegee with uh uh why can I don't know why I was about to say something else, but I majored in sales and marketing and I got a
Okay,
degree in marketing as well
okay,
as a degree in supply chain management.
okay.
So journalism, like I don't have formal training in journalism. I'm
Hmm.
just kind of like learning as I go
Hmm.
about media, and it's working to my advantage though because the
Right,
media landscape is changing so quickly that it doesn't matter that that's not what my formal
right.
training is in.
Right. And even just from the perspective of, like you just said, marketing, from that content creation and content marketing, that gives you that background of just understanding copywriting and things of that nature. So that just transitions to blogging. So
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely helpful in the space. So one thing I did want to talk about is the content creation. So tell me a little bit about how you help, different creators, different entrepreneurs with content creation.
I've learned that people are either like really good on the business aspect and they don't know how to market themselves, or they have really great marketing ideas, but they don't know how to execute them.
Hmm.
And that's where the HTML creative side comes in because it's like it's great to have ideas and it's great to be like, oh, I thought of this amazing like ad I could put on Facebook, but if you don't know how to execute it properly or
Right.
you don't know graphic design, it's not, it's not going to hit like you want it to. So yeah, that's where I just kind of like make those connections because luckily for me, I'm great on both the business end and the
Hmm.
creative end. So I kind of merge those two together for people.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I love how you phrase the I guess, and you can give me the exact quote, but how you the where the intersection of where her modern life. So can you give me that little quote of how that works?
Oh, Fred, I don't even know exactly what it is, but that is literally like it's like when people think of her modern life,
Hmm.
I want them to know that they're gonna get facts, they're gonna get education, but they
Hmm.
are also going to be entertained.
Right.
Like nothing about me as a person is boring, so nothing about my brand is gonna be boring.
I
But
like
I
that.
want people to know that like before I put anything on the internet, before I put anything on Instagram, Twitter, or hermodernlife.com, like I've thoroughly looked it up. I've talked to people who are directly working with these like legislative laws. I've
Hmm.
talked to doctors. So I'm not just saying like, oh, I saw this on Twitter and this is
Right.
popular right now. So I'm going to
Right.
put it. Mm-mm.
Right.
But you're also going to be entertained. So,
Right. No, I like that, and that's one of the things that had me thinking about it is it's just because I would think that it takes a lot of research and a lot of like just reading in general for the
mm-hmm,
knowledge that you have. So I think that's really cool, and then how
yeah.
you tie it back to the culture of making it entertaining for people. So I think that's
Mm-hmm,
cool. So
yeah.
are you reading just different things in general? Do you watch the news? Like tell me a little bit about how you
Yeah.
come across
Um,
information.
So I like history, like
Hmm.
naturally. Um, my very first job, I was a Senate page for the Alabama State Senate, and what that is like once you get to seventh grade, you can contact one of the state senators, not a U.S. senator, but one of the state senators, and actually work in their office for like
Okay.
the entire summer. And that's kind of where I got my love for civic engagement. That's where it started because I don't know many 14, 15-year-olds that had that kind of experience, especially Black ones. Like,
Hmm.
I can actually, there were a lot of us, but all of them went to like Montgomery Academy,
Right.
St. James. Like, I went to BTW, but that's still a public school. You know, I went to
Right.
Baldwin, but that's still a public school. And I was able to kind of take that knowledge and go back and be like, did y'all know that they were thinking about X, Y, and Z? And
Right.
everybody be like, because where would you even hear
Right.
that kind of information unless you're in the room?
Right.
And so any chance I get to be that person that can kind of literally get firsthand information and take it back to my people
Hmm.
in a way that's digestible, in a way that they can understand it. And that doesn't mean dumbing it down at all.
Right.
It
Right.
just means like speaking how we speak,
Right.
using like the kind of phrases and stuff that we use
Hmm.
to make it like common sense almost, because it's
Right.
not. And you know what they say, like if you want to hide stuff from Black people, like put it in a book or make it wordy, make it boring.
Right.
Y'all got to play with this. Not on my watch.
Right,
Okay.
right, right. So that does bring up a good point of what I was both of us from the Gump, right? So it's it's very interesting because the Gump has a lot of history, right? So
Mhm.
we were in Montgomery, Alabama, the civil rights movement, everything of that nature. But did you always have that, I guess, that mind, or did somebody put that into you of just like learning about civic engagement and things of that nature?
Yeah. So my dad is just like that's where I get my love of history
Okay.
from. It's from my dad.
Okay.
And so from like first grade through 12th grade, I always went to magnet schools, which, like I said it before, they're public schools, but in Montgomery, all of the magnet schools are majority white. And especially back then, like the 90s, early 2000s, I went to school mostly white kids. And so my dad would be like the parent that was like in the back of the classroom, like, you better teach. Like, he would literally like come to class and be
Making
like,
sure.
yeah, like, okay, you're talking about the Trail of Tears today. Let's talk about it. And I'm in like the fourth grade. So I'm just like, but I didn't realize that what he was doing was so important because they're going to teach you what they want you to know.
Hmm.
And that's not the real shit, you know?
Right. Right.
And my dad has just always been like that. He's also an ordained minister, which
Okay.
I love because for him, theology isn't like Christianity or religion. It's like the history of it. Like, what language
Mm-hmm.
did Jesus speak? Why did he speak that language? How did it get translated into? And it like that's where I get it from. So shout out
No,
to my
that's that's dope. Shout out to your dad. Shout out to your dad, because I know for sure that that's not the conversations that were was happening over on Carter Hill Road. So,
daddy. Exactly.
so no, that also brings me to my next point as far as one of the real dope projects that I think that you have going on is books for the block. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about that, and just get into that.
So the actual concept of tiny libraries, like, it's not new at all. But
Hmm.
if you look at where they're placed, especially like in the city of Montgomery, they're all in majority white neighborhoods. Like, I think the furthest west is East Fairview, and that's old Cloverdale, the old
Right.
white money in the city.
Right.
Um, and I was just like, you know what? That's so fucked up. But I don't think anybody was purposely like, we're not gonna put them on that side of town. It's just you put them where you live.
Right.
And if white people don't live over there, they're not thinking about it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool, we can fill that void. And it's just kind of like taking off because like people know about it, but you don't really stop to think like, hey, let me put like free books in the neighborhood where I grew up or like
Right.
around the elementary school that I went to. And I mean, like in theory, you're supposed to like exchange the books, but I've seen that like people take the books and they just like have them, and I'm not mad at that because I don't know, that just makes me happy. Books make me happy
Right.
personally, so I can only imagine how someone else who is like, I don't know, just like in a not ideal situation, and they have like free books just sitting there waiting for them all the time. and they can just take them at their leisure and do as they please. That's why I love when people donate to Books for the Block, because it's such a special program to me. I love it so much.
Yep. And I think it's really big because if you really think about it, just the fact that people that may not have access, like you said, may not can afford certain books, or
Mm-hmm.
books, new books that come out, like books aren't cheap when
At
they
all. Yeah.
when somebody releases a new book, so they're not cheap. They're like, you might have some 20 bucks a pop, and they like, that's not something that's going to that people are going to necessarily invest in, or put money into
Mm-hmm.
buying a new book. And
Mm-hmm.
so just people to be able to have that access to get books that they wouldn't otherwise have access to is like big. And
Exactly.
then if you think about it from the perspective of the younger generation, and them being able to have access to different books or different authors that are going to maybe spark the brain of that young kid. And I think that was really big. One of the ones that I actually sent that I think is important is like putting Issa on the
Yeah.
because what about a young teenage girl? She sees a book of Issa and then reads her story, that might inspire you. Who knows what? So I
Exactly.
think I think that the biggest thing is sparking the brain, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
know what they're gonna do after that. So I
Yeah.
think that's why I like the concept so much.
Yeah. And what kind of lit a fire under me is because, like, right now in Montgomery, the public libraries are closed. So people can always say, like, the alternative to having to buy books is just go to the library and check them out. It's free.
Right,
Yeah, that's true. But now what do you do when the
right,
library is closed? What's your alternative?
right.
And so Books for the Block is that alternative. And I just personally love it because um people in different places put like all types of books in there. So we had one in Brooklyn, and my homeboy from Tuskegee, like, all he does is put anime books in there. So
Okay,
anytime he sees it getting low, he'll like go somewhere and put anime, and he'll like send me a picture of this huge stack of like anime comic books. And it's fire though, because there's so many black and brown kids who probably love anime,
right,
that like, who can they ask to, hey, take me to the comic store to go get me.
right,
I don't even know the name of a damn anime show or whatever. So
right,
if my child came and asked me that, I'd be like, sorry friend, like I
right,
can't help you.
right.
So it's stuff like little shit like that that I just absolutely love. And even with the books that you've donated, like Between the World and Me, that's an amazing coming of age story for black men.
Yep,
And
yep,
I'm sure there's somebody who has never heard of Ta-Nehisi Coates, like, ever.
yeah,
Until they read that and they're like, shit, this is a whole like
yep,
different like ball game. There's so much more than like my little corner of the world. So
yep.
I'm
And
sorry,
then
I
like,
can talk about books all day. I'm sorry.
no, we can keep it going. And the other thing about that is the fact that, like you just said, the different types of people. Like, when you always get generalized about being black and what that means. So
Mm-hmm.
if you put different types of books or different types of stories from different types of people, it allows them to think, to believe, not think, but to believe that it's okay to think this way, or to actually
Mm-hmm.
like books. Like, I remember when I when I was at JD, I would go into class, and I like, it came MPS became easy to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would go into class and I wouldn't even pay attention to class. I would be reading a newspaper or reading a book or something of that nature, and I still passed the class. Like,
Yeah.
it was just, it wasn't the cool thing to do, but it was, people are going to be able to actually understand, and that it's okay to be themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why it's so big that they have access to, books. So I definitely am going to continue to support. I'm going to ask all my friends to continue to support.
Thank you.
So if I think my some of my pro athlete friends, I'm definitely going to have them, try to help out. So that, I think that's huge, just to be able to. And I think the other part about that is, you're not just keeping it to Montgomery, right? So you're
Hmm.
having them all over the place, and that's just it's a universal
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like a shout out to my classmates at Tuskegee. Like when I told my line sisters, when I told my friends from college I was doing this, everybody was like, okay, well, we'll just put one like where we are. And so it was just perfect because it, like, we discussed it. The startup cost is small, and then after
Yep.
that, all you have to do is like keep it filled with books, and people love it. And I just, I don't know, to hear like that other people are so interested in making sure that we all have access to information. It just makes me so happy.
Yep.
Most of well, not most of, but I have a lot of neos in the sorority who are engineers.
Hmm.
And so that's all they do is like buy engineering and coding books. And they're like, is this okay to put in there? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yep.
Like you never know who's gonna walk up and like pick up that coding book, and
Right.
now we got the next like Bill Gates or whoever because they learn how
Yep.
to code for free from a
Yep.
book.
Yep.
So it's amazing. It
Yep.
makes me very, very happy.
Oh, that's cool. Another thing I know that brings us to, like, you talked about information, right? So,
Hmm.
providing information. What are some of the things that you feel are important that aren't being talked about, that we need to be discussing?
I'm gonna just say the truth.
Okay.
Because it's information in the United States is like a game of telephone. Like
Hmm.
one person starts it off, and then by the time it trickles down to Black people, it's been so twisted, so misconstrued. Like people have added in their opinions and all this shit that it's just like we don't know what to believe.
Right. Right.
We have no idea what to believe. And like the most recent thing that's hit home for me is like with the COVID vaccination.
Hmm.
And everybody want to bring up the Tuskegee experience. Like, shut the hell, like, shut up. That ain't got shit to do with shit. Be quiet. Stop saying, like, keep Tuskegee name out your mouth, okay? It's one of those things. And it's
Right.
just like, but we literally don't know any better. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it
Yeah.
takes people to really break it down and I'm even mad at myself for saying the Tuskegee experiment because that's not what it's called. But it's just stuff like that. We literally don't know.
Right.
And so who's gonna be the person to tell
Right. You,
us?
which is like, so I remember when, all the riots and everything was going on, and that's one of one of the posts that made me really start paying attention,
Mhm.
to you, when you put up the differences between defund, abolish, and was it reform and
Yeah,
dismantle police.
yeah.
That was very extremely informative, and like it made me understand, because I kept saying, okay, defund the police, but it never really clicked the differences, and how that actually works. So can you can you break that down really really quick, to just what defund the police means?
Oh, sure. This is one of my favorite things to talk about besides books. Okay. So you look at it, I look at politics the same way I look at marketing. There's a
Hmm.
science to it, right?
Hmm.
And literally, studies have shown us for years and years and years that the reason why we have police is because we don't have enough community resources.
Hmm.
So what does that mean? What do the police get called out for? Domestic violence issues, somebody's having a mental health crisis, somebody has stolen something because it's something that they don't have. So
Hmm.
like there's a financial component there. Like there's all these reasons why crime exists.
Right.
What's the answer to that? It's community resources.
Right.
We have more counselors in school. The kids are staying in school longer. People are living above the poverty line. They don't have a reason to steal because they have like enough they have financial stability to provide for themselves. So now they're not breaking into cars, they're not doing home invasions, they're not doing shit like that. People are getting help for alcoholism. So that decreases like the domestic violence thing. Even
Right.
in Montgomery, we're seeing a spike in freaking child abuse cases because the kids are at home. because NPS is
Right.
closed.
No, that makes sense.
But that's because parents are like, besides them, like if you beat your kids, you're a shitty person. But like, if you are trying to figure out how to feed your kids, because think about it, there are a lot of kids in NPS. That's the only way they get food.
Right.
It's at school. They get
That,
free
those are the meals
breakfast,
that she get.
free lunch. Exactly. But now they're at home. So now, not only am I worried about them learning, but I'm literally trying to figure out how I'm going to feed my kids.
Right.
Pump community resources into that, you don't have those issues anymore. But instead, the United States want to say police, police, police. But that's literally leading to more violence because it takes nothing to become a police officer.
Right.
Like, when I was younger, I thought that was like a professional job that you had to train for. And if I just up and decided one day I wanted to be a police officer, I could. And I don't need to be nobody's.
Right.
Don't call me for nothing because I'm not helping. I'll probably make the situation worse. So,
and the thing about that is, like you just said, if it's not even like, it's a low barrier entry to being a police, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about it in that case, okay, well, I'm becoming a police just to make ends meet. Like, so the same problems that you were just talking about are being affected by the police that are now being tasked to serve and protect, but they are dealing with probably some of the same things, alcoholism, trying to provide for their kids. Mm-hmm. So you have two people or two forms that are dealing with the same thing, and now you have frustration. Now you have frustration on both sides. So now you're clashing. So it just makes sense. So if you don't actually solve the problem, then you're going to continue to have the problem. So funding the police versus actually funding the community, mm-hmm. is not solving the actual problem. So I think that's really, really, like I said, profound of how you explained it.
Thank you.
Another thing that I like what you talked about. So you talked about you also focus on local elections. So tell our people about how important that is, because most of the time I think people are starting to catch on, but most of the time people, when they think of elections, they think of the presidential election. That's all they are concerned with.
Mm-hmm. So, it's interesting because a lot of people say like, because of the electoral college, which is a whole nother bag of bullshit. People are like, my vote doesn't count.
Right.
Well, bitch, if you ain't vote in a local election, you're right. It doesn't count. So get involved where you are first, because that's what makes the difference. We're looking at the Senate right now. If people in Texas or I'll say Texas would have, like, those local elections matter, because now we wouldn't need the VP to do the tiebreaker in the Senate, because we'd have the numbers that we needed automatically, and it wouldn't be an issue. We would have got our stimulus checks a long time ago. If like people would have shown up for the local elections, and that's what matters. When your cousin get locked up and you need a judge to understand that homeboy was just trying to feed his kids, you are electing those judges. You know what I'm saying? You are electing those district attorneys. You are electing these people.
Or in this case, they're not electing.
Right. Or you just
in this case, they're not.
Run wild and do whatever. And even like down to like how much we pay for electricity. The person that's ultimately over that, we vote them into office.
Right.
These are things that we can control.
Right.
But nobody knows that.
Yep. And so if you're not like actually putting your stamp on it, or if you're not actually being involved or being knowledgeable on these things, then it's not going to allow you to, you can't change anything, or you can't complain about anything if you're not actually like participating or actively participating in these, elections that's going to impact you. So no, that makes perfect sense. So I know we're a little bit towards the end, but I do want to talk about how people can work with you in Her Modern Life. So tell me a little bit more about some of the services, some of the things that you have going on.
Okay, so I do this in like 3 branches to kind of keep myself focused, because if not, I'll be all over the place. So, marketing and digital content creation. If you need something for your business or your brand on Instagram, um, I create graphics. I don't do social media management because that's a lot, but I'll make the
Yeah.
graphics for you. I'll make the
Right.
videos or whatever you need. I'll build the set for you. I've done that before. I'll do whatever you need. On the community outreach side, programs like Books for the Block. Um, Also like donating things to jails. Like if you have little projects, or that's not little, if you have projects like that, HML is always willing to boost that and to participate, because people in jail often get overlooked,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still citizens, they're still members of society. So, we need to hold them down as well. And then the last one is with like the entertainment portion. If you ever need someone to host something, you are having a panel and you want somebody to moderate the panel, those type of things, I'm your girl. You can reach out to me, Sydney at hermodernlife.com.
Okay. Cool. And so what is next? Like what's next for Sydney?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm I'm praying. I'm trying to be obedient. I'm listening to what God wants me to do. And I just hope that HML grows to be like that platform that, like, if somebody is iffy on a situation or they don't know like if that's true or false, or they want
Right.
some information, they already know. Just go to Her Modern Life and like we'll figure. She's already
Figure it
done
out.
the research.
Yeah.
She just like compacted it for us so we can just read there. And that's all. I just want HML to be amazing, and I want people to know about it, and I want people to love it. I want HML to go past like these social media areas. So like even when if Instagram died today, if Twitter died today, if Clubhouse died today, I still have hermodernlife.com, and
Right.
y'all can still come like and be a part of my community. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it, really enjoyed the conversation. Her modern life will definitely be amazing and live
Thank
past social media and everything of that nature. Thank you, Sydney. We'll definitely work together on whatever
Absolutely.
anything that you have going on. I definitely want to support you all. Go follow, and it's very informative. Like I said, it's not boring. It's going to be very entertaining. She's going to keep you engaged and keep you on your toes with what's going on in the news. So don't worry about watching Fox News or whatever else for your
Even CNN, because they
for
be doing
yeah
some weird shit too.
yeah yeah. So don't worry about trying to get your information from there. Go follow Sydney, and she's got you. Little housekeeping topics. Definitely go follow Powerhouse Marketing. We're still doing website audits for your websites. So just make sure that you go follow, and we'll get you taken care of. So thank you, Sydney. I appreciate it. We'll talk
Thank
to you
you,
later.
Fred.
All right. Bye.
All righty.